What you came to Earth to master. Greetings, we are the Arcturian Council. We are pleased to connect with all of you. We have the capacity to feel joy, love, freedom, and power. And we recognize that more and more humans are discovering their ability to feel the way they want to feel. It is an exciting time for all of you, as you are developing an ability to determine what type of energy you're putting out into the world. We would say that humanity has been largely reactionary in terms of how you would feel what you feel. Something good happens, you feel a good feeling emotion, and when something bad happens, you would feel a bad feeling emotion. The way that humanity has dealt with the issues of what you feel in a positive way over the millions of years that you've been on Earth is by putting yourselves in monasteries, caves, convents, and anywhere you could find to essentially hide from the world. Humans on a spiritual path have typically attempted to transcend feeling, as if that is the answer. Other humans will deny their emotions, numb themselves to them, or try to think their way out of them. We do not recommend these approaches. These approaches are showing themselves for what they are. Emotions are not to be escaped from or ignored. They are to be embraced, and you are to activate the good feelings in order to create the reality that matches those feelings. You cannot do that if you've closed yourself off to any emotion. Any emotion that you do allow to flow through you is going to stifle the rest. So if you are one of those who is saying that you don't really feel much of anything anymore, then you have to start by feeling what you've been avoiding. Allow yourself to experience what has been right there beneath the surface of your conscious awareness for quite some time, and in so doing you will open the floodgates. You will be able to experience more love, more joy, more peace, and more of everything else that you want to feel. And that is true spiritual mastery. It's not about hiding away in some spiritual sanctuary that keeps you from experiencing the rest of the world as it is. It's not about making your life smaller so that less can go wrong and affect you and elicit an unwanted emotion. This spiritual evolution that you are taking part in consciously is about feeling it all and then choosing from within what you've been able to access. That's how you create your reality instead of letting your reality dictate how you feel all the time. This is what you came to Earth and the solar system to master. Humanity's heart chakra is opening. We are extremely pleased with the amount of compassion that we see on Earth at this time. There is a tremendous opening of humanity's heart chakra in response to the tragedies and traumas that are occurring there on Earth. You have greater access to news from the other side of the planet now, and that brings you closer together as a human collective. It seems like things are getting worse on Earth because you are aware of more than you've ever been before. Humanity began opening their hearts for each other a long, long time ago. And the practice you've had of feeling compassion for your neighbors, your friends, and your relatives has been extended out to people in countries that you will never visit. And that is remarkable. Yes, you still have racism and sexism, mass shooting, and hate crime. You still have all these atrocities and more occurring on your planet. But there's now more compassion being felt, and there are more humans opening their hearts up to people who they did not feel any real connection to in any lot of ways. It used to be that you would feel so much more for someone if they were a member of your family than if they were a complete stranger, living thousands of miles away from you. But now we are seeing that you have opened yourselves up enough to where you can feel for someone who you will never meet, and you can recognize that person as another aspect of you. You can see how what you feel is what you feel. You are all getting so much better at recognizing that you do have feelings, feeling them and extending your heart energy out to anyone who is in need. And we are talking specifically to those of you who are awake because we know that a big part of your awakening journey has to be the opening of your heart chakra. You begin to experience the world differently. You experience nature and animals in a different way than you did before. And we know the temptation for the empath is to shut that chakra back down, to close it off, and to huddle in the corner because of how much you feel. But we see so many of you emerging from these corners with more tools than ever to help you to navigate through a world that needs you, that is thirsty for compassion and heartfelt healing energy. We have said this before, and we will say it again. You are the ones who are being called upon to deliver to your fellow humans, and sometimes you have to feel some things that you wouldn't want anyone to feel. But you also know that you don't want to go back to feeling separate, alone, and being who is significantly less than source energy. And so there are you, grounding in the highest frequency energies possible, feeling all of that compassion and sending that healing energy to all corners of the globe. And we could not be prouder than we are of all of you. How to release trauma. We have an interesting perspective that we would like to share with you all. We know that you have been experiencing a lot of trauma in this lifetime of yours, and we know that you have coping mechanisms and defense mechanisms to help you get through the experience of these traumas. We also know that many of you find yourselves looking for answers as to why this traumatic event had to befall you in your life. It is going to serve you very well in the future if you just let go of the need to know and the need to minimize the aftermath of the trauma. You have to live more in the moment in your lives in order to truly be aware of what you are vibrating. And if you are asking questions about why something happened and looking for ways to minimize the effects, then you are not living in the moment where the trauma isn't occurring. We will give you an example from your lives that you can relate to and learn from. You have dogs and cats that live with you, and occasionally you will step on the tail of one of these beloved beings. Initially, the animal will react immediately to what's happening. In that moment, there is no attempt to minimize the trauma of the experience. The dog or cat goes completely into a mode of yelping or screeching, moving out of the way and getting him or herself into an upright position on all fours. What the human does in that instant is immediately apologize, seeks to minimize what happened by saying it was an accident, and gives extra love and attention to their furry friend. The dog or the cat gets over it right away because they are so in the moment, and their tails are not being stepped on in the moment, and that you are apologizing profusely to them. We are not giving you this now because we want to tell you to not just get over your trauma, as if we have no compassion for what you have experienced. That is not the point of this transmission at all. What we do want you to recognize is that you could follow the example of your pets and be in the moment all the time. You would be less likely to relive the traumatic events of your lives over and over again in your minds. We want you to feel all of your feelings because that's why you created the trauma in the first place. But we are also encouraging you not to think about it over and over again to try and figure out what went wrong, who was at fault, and how you created it in your reality. When you can follow the example of a child or an animal in your approach to life, that's when you know you've achieved a level of spiritual mastery that few achieve. That's when you become one with everything and you choose what you want to focus on in the moment. Your greatest teachers. We are not the experts on humanity and life there on earth. You are. You are the ones who are living in that density and dimension, having those unique experiences and feeling all the emotions that come up from the experiences that you are living. We are doing our best to relate, and sometimes we will do so by checking in on one of you who's experiencing some very intense emotions. And then we will observe how you all handle the processing of the emotions. And of course, you are all different. You all have unique approaches to the intense emotional experiences you are having, and we do respect all the choices that you make to make the experience of these emotions easier on you. But then again, we also notice that what works for most of you is immediate attention. When you are children, before you are convinced that your emotions are inappropriate, you are able to move through them very quickly and return to your natural state of joy. You are naturally joyous beings, and when someone is interfering with that natural state of joy, it needs to be addressed by you, and the sooner the better. The less ashamed you are of your emotion, the faster you take it on. The less you are judging your emotion, the more willing you are to be open about what you are feeling and express it to those who matter to you in your life. Most of the issues that you have here on earth are the result of people not allowing themselves to fully feel their emotion, and then they take actions that represent the stuck emotions, or they get a very deadly disease because they haven't allowed themselves to feel their emotions and express them. And so we want you to notice, as we have, what your typical strategies are with dealing with your negative emotions. And then we encourage you to ask yourself whether the approach is working for you. If you have tactics that you employ to put off the feelings of the negative emotion, then we suggest that you at least make an appointment with yourself to get to it soon, and again, the sooner the better. The more you watch the children in your world and follow their example, the happier you will be in your lives. They are creative. They do what they feel passionate about, and they allow themselves to feel and express their emotions. They are honest and they are hopeful. They believe in magic, and we hope that you can all learn from them and be more like the children that you have in your lives. They are your greatest teachers. After all, they are living life on earth as well. They are like you, experiencing what you are experiencing, and they are highly sensitive and attuned to higher frequencies. And so, this is your assignment. Watch the children and be like the children, and you'll find that the natural state of joy exists underneath all of that stuck emotion that you have been holding on to. Forgiving and being the love. We are completely satisfied with the way that we witness you all evolving and ascending there on earth. We are particularly encouraged by the way that you've all been able to integrate so many diverse aspects of who you are and who you have been. It isn't easy to reconcile all of these aspects of yourself, to make sense of it all, or to admit to yourself that you have had your moments of poor judgment. You have done things in this lifetime that you feel terrible about, yet you are finding a way to realize that there is no point in maintaining judgment or shame in your consciousness. When you demonstrate that you are capable of forgiving yourselves and integrating all the various aspects of self that you have encountered, then you become ready to do so on a larger scale. And that is where many of you who are awake are right now in your evolution. There is still a lot of forgiving to be done. There are still individuals who are doing terrible things and not feeling any guilt, any shame, or any judgment of themselves. And so that is where you all come in. You need to be the ones who offer that forgiveness and compassion to those who are doing nothing to earn it. And you need to lead the rest of humanity in this movement to embody the unconditional love of Source Energy. That is the only way to truly make a difference in the world. Now, are we saying that you should love these abhorrent things that you hear about and read about that your fellow humans are doing? Absolutely not. We are saying that you can be true to yourselves in the face of these actions, words, and beliefs that you find so deplorable. You can be the love that is missing in the equation where someone is bombing a country or using hate speech against a group that they are in judgment of. You can be the love, and you can offer the peace in your hearts because you are the way-showers. You are the ones who are going to lead this earth of yours into a fifth-dimensional frequency state, and it is time to accept that truth and embody this beautiful essence of Source that we are talking about. Being who you've always wanted to be. We have done extensive research on the history of humankind on Earth, and we've noticed that there are periods within human history where you've experienced peace and harmony. This is long before you had weapons of mass destruction and enormous armies, and we are not saying that it is the weapons that are a problem. We know that there have been wars and barbarians throughout history who didn't need very big weapons to be very destructive. But there have been these periods in your history where people on Earth lived harmoniously and peacefully. You have these memories in your cells and your DNA, just like you have the destruction of Atlantis and the destruction of Lemuria in these same cells and DNA. Therefore, you have the ability to choose. You have the ability to choose who you are going to be. And we are not just talking to you as a collective. We are talking to you as an individual. When someone is rude to you or disrespects you, you have a choice. You can still choose peace. You can be peaceful in your mind. You can be peaceful in your vibration. And you can be peaceful in your words and actions. You don't have to honk your horn, give someone the middle finger, or start yelling in response to an act that may or may not even be intentional. We invite you to choose that aspect of yourself that is peaceful and that knows peace and harmony, not only within yourself, but also within the entirety of your human collective. You are capable of great acts of kindness, and you are capable of being mean and petty. You get to decide which aspect of you that you activate. But really, it's a decision that has to be made before the person cuts you off in traffic and before the person at the customer service counter is rude and dismissive. You have to make that choice within yourself before you get into one of these situations that could easily trigger you and take you down a path that you don't want to go down. Before you make the phone call to someone that you have to get to understand the situation, make sure you are taking care of your vibration. Make sure you are in that peaceful state. Before you go and visit your relatives, make sure you have cleared all the grudges and all the resentment out, and that you are approaching them from that bright and shiny place of being the version of you that you know you can be and know you are becoming. Soon enough, your default setting will be all kindness and love, compassion, understanding, and empathy. But for now, you have to go in there and make sure you adjust your setting so that you can be the version of yourself that you have always wanted to become. We are the Arcturian Council, and we have enjoyed connecting with you.